Welcome back with this video in our class, Semantics of English. Now, for today's discussion, I will be analyzing the unscripted conversation between my family members and relatives in the three kinds of speech acts, namely the locution, elocution, and perlocution. So, first, let us know what is speech act. So, a speech act is an utterance that serves a function in communication. Now, at this moment, let us first see the two conversations between my sister and my brother and my relatives, nephews named Tantan and Sofia.
Dong, tagay, sagod kong tubig, dong.
Sa mga tubig te, bugnar o dili?
Dili lang bugnaw, dong.
Natigola lagi sa luwan. Layo. Ato yung puso nilaban ka. O, lagi babasa to.
Now you have seen the two conversations between my family members and my relatives. Now first, let us analyze those conversations between the types of speech acts, namely the locution or the locutionary act, the elocution or the elocutionary act, and the last one, the perlocution or the perlocutionary act. Now, let's go first to the locution. So, the first conversation goes like this. Dong tagaig sa good kog tubig. That was a request coming from my sister. Now, my brother Dodong asked my sister, unsa man na tubig dong, bugnaw or dili? And then my ate responded, dili lang bugnaw dong. And then my brother gave my sister a water from not electric dispenser. Now, for the locutionary act, take note that this speech act, the linguistic form of utterance or the linguistic properties is an act of making a meaningful utterance, a stretch of spoken language that is preceded by silence and followed by silence or a change of speaker. Now, since my sister asked a water from my brother, therefore it is a locutionary act or the start of the conversation. Let's go for the second speech of act, the elocutionary act. This type of act is the intended purpose of the utterance or the manifestation of the intentions of the speaker in making the utterance. Now, for the first conversation, since my sister requested my brother to give her a glass of water, and then my brother in response to her request, my brother asked her unsa man na tubig dong, bugnaw or dili, since a water could be cold or not. Now, we're done with the locutionary act. Let's go to the perlocution or the perlocutionary act. For the perlocutionary act, take note that this speech act is the effect of the utterance, what is produced by saying the locution after or hearing the locution. What are the hearer do? Now, in the first conversation, my brother know that my sister wants a glass of water, and he already know that dili ay bugnaw nga tubig ang ganahan sa kuang magulang. Therefore, my brother gave her a glass of water coming from a dispenser. So that is the perlocution for this conversation. Typically, the effects of the utterance between the speaker and the addressee. Now, let's go for the second conversation between my nephew, Tantan the boy one, and Pia the girl one. So the conversation goes like this: "Te, gaulan lagi sa gawas." And then Pia responded, "Hala ay og gaulan day," as she looked into the windows, and she is convinced that it is really raining. Now, Tantan respond that, "Ay te, atong hipuson ang nilabhan ni tita." And then Pia respond, "Oh, kay basin mabasa to." And then they went outside to get my clothes. Now, let us analyze this conversation according to the types of speech act. First, the locutionary act for this conversation was that te, gaulan lagi sa gawas. And then for the elocution, the elocution is ta, atong hipuson ang nilaban ni tita, because Pia concluded that it was raining outside, and therefore they are going to get my clothes. Now, for the perlocution or the perlocutionary act, since this type of act is produced by saying the locution, after hearing the locution, what are the effects of the utterance between the receiver or the addressee, and both of them, since both of them are the speaker and the receiver, they went outside to get my clothes. So I think that is the types of speech act between the two conversations I presented in this video. Agrees communication, namely the maxims, and these maxims have 4 categories. Namely, we have the maxim of quantity, second, the maxim of relevance, the third one, the maxim of manner, and the last one, we have the maxim of quality. So these maxims are rules and observation drawn from a successful discourse. Now, we know that these are the 4 maxims presented by Paul Greece. At this moment, we are going to analyze those 2 conversations presented. Now, let's go for the maxim of quantity. By the way, what is maxim of quantity? Requires the speaker to give as much information as the addressee needs, but no more, not more, not less. Technically, according to the speaker, must have a sense of what the addressee knows and needs to know. Now, for the first, let's go back to the first conversation between my ate and my brother. Sentence, "Dong tagay gugtubig dong," is an example of maxim of quantity, because is there enough information? Is there too much? Since my sister gave a sentence that is hanging, therefore my brother respond, "Unsa nga tubig, bugnaw or dili?" Now, unsa na tubig, bugnaw or dili is an example of maxim of relevance. So let's go to the maxim of relevance. It requires a speaker to make utterance relative to the discourse ongoing on the context in which they occur. Correspondingly, as addresses, we expect that we hear as much relevance. A sentence goes like this: "Don't, could you please give me a glass of water?" And then my brother respond, "What kind of water do you want, sis? Cold or not?" So it is a concrete example of maxim of relevance, because the response of my brother is relevant to the first sentence that my sister said. Now let's go for the maxim of quality. This maxim is to say only what one's believed or to be true. questions and requests cannot be either true or false. So this maxim applies only to giving of information. In this kind of speech we call assertive. Now, for this maxim, we can relate this to the conversation between my nephew Pia and Tantan. Now, for the maxim of quality, since Tantan said to her sister, te, gaonan lagi sa gawas. And then, Pia, hala, gaonan jud ay sa gawas. Looking at the window, verifying whether it's true or false. And then, both of them convinced that it is really raining outside. So, therefore, they went outside to get my clothes. Now, we're done with the maxim of quantity, the maxim of relevance, and the maxim of quality. Now, there is the maxim of manner that we're about to analyze. So, to avoid ambiguity, if you ask someone a question and then the reply you receive seems strangely obscure, your interlocutor is either a disorganized individual or is deliberately avoiding a straight answer. Now, for this maxim of manner, example for this is, te, atong hipuson ang nilabhan ni ate. Because, as what you observe, the maxim of manner is the information of clear or unobscure or unambiguous, orderly, and it is concise. Now, for the Greece additional point of view, this is Greece distinguish between violating the maxims of on and floating them. If a speaker deliberately lies, expecting the addressee to believe what he says, he is violating the maxim of quality. If he exaggerates, expecting the addressee to recognize the important things to remember. An utterance has a purpose. So in order to achieve that, purpose is to be appropriate by several conditions and necessary. The lexical content of the utterance must be appropriate. The social situation in which it occurs must be appropriate. The speaker must sincere in what he says, and the hearer accept the utterance as having the purposes. Now we're done discussing the speech of acts, namely the locutionary act, the illocutionary act, and the perlocutionary act, and the Greece's 4 maxims of communications. I hope you enjoy and learn something on this discussion, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!